Hey, what's up, YouTube? It's Monday, October 8th, 2012. This is ProofWLSWorks, and I'm your Monday vlogger, B. This week's topic, it's kind of an interesting one, because I have an interesting opinion. Pardon me while I have some morning coffee. It reads, how do you treat overweight people? With your new self-image, how do you treat overweight and obese people? How do you find yourself talking about their weight? Oh, no. Do you find yourself talking about their weight? And do you find yourself automatically telling them your story? Well, you know, I kind of take this on a case-by-case basis. I wish I had the conscious... No, that's not the right word. I don't feel comfortable preaching to everyone. Because, I don't know, I just feel like sometimes people aren't in the right frame of mind to handle that kind of information. And I think a lot of times it's just because they're not ready. And that's not my choice to make, and it's almost arrogant of me to make that decision. But it can often come off as aggressive, and people get defensive. And I think that the last thing that somebody needs is to have someone preach to them when they're not quite ready for that decision. A lot of times what I'll do is I'll share my story with them, or maybe I'll hint that, you know, if we get to talking about their weight, or, you know, it really kind of depends. I'm not gonna walk up to a random person and go, "Hey, you need weight loss surgery." That's kind of rude. But you know, and I've been on both ends of the spectrum. You know, I've been talking with people, and they had no idea that weight loss surgery could work for them. And they went and looked into it, and they had weight loss surgery. Or they went and looked into it and found out that it wasn't for them. And then I've talked to people who were completely against the idea and actually tried to preach to me for having weight loss surgery. But, you know, it's kind of hard to argue with results, so that didn't go very well for them. So, you know, as far as sharing my story goes and talking about their weight, it really goes on a case-by-case basis. I've had a lot of friends come to me since I've had weight loss surgery and have asked me, you know, how do you lose so much weight, and what did you do, and you know, you share your story with them, and sometimes you get really positive results, and sometimes you get really judgmental results, and you just take them as they go. It all boils down to, and I've said this before even on this channel, it all boils down to why you had surgery. You know, I did this for me and for nobody else, and I'm happy with the results. So it's very difficult for someone to try to tell me that I made a mistake. You know, how can you be wrong if you're happy? And that's the bottom line. You know, some people will tell you that they're happy, and they may be happy with weight loss surgery. They may be happy with busting their ass for 2, 3, 4, 5 years. See, with me, I've done it both ways. You know, I lost 150 pounds busting my ass and taking supplements and being in the gym 8 hours a day and seeing a nutritionist. And I lost 150 pounds with weight loss surgery and doing all that other stuff. The only difference is that with the weight loss surgery, I've kept the weight off. And before, it all came back. So, yeah, kind of got off topic there. But how do you treat overweight people? You know, oh, wow. This is embarrassing, but it disgusts me. It really does. That's actually my first reaction. When I'm at the grocery store and I see a 25-year-old, 480-pound person on one of those little scooters, and they're loading the basket up with crap, I get disgusted. And I'm just like, what are you doing to yourself? And I want to walk up to them and tell them that. You know, what are you doing to yourself? Again, that's the little thing in the back of my head saying that's not your place. And I wish it wasn't there. I really wish it wasn't there, because you know, I have friends in this community that would walk right up to them and say, hey, you know, here's what's up. And I wish I had that. I wish I didn't have that mental block that prevented me from doing that, because, you know, my initial reaction, like I said, is disgust, because I'm like, that is just, how can you do that to your body? And then I get sad. You know, I feel for that person. I'm like, man, I wish I could spend an hour with you, you know, because I really do. It's knowing that there's a way out, knowing that there are options is the part that makes it difficult, you know, that you've been there, and you know there's a better life. And the sad thing is they're probably looking at you going, look at that little skinny bastard. I'm not skinny, but I guess compared to that person in the scooter, I'm pretty skinny. And they're probably having the exact opposite conversation about you, you know. And that's kind of why I wish I didn't have that little mental filter. Like I said, I know some people even here in this community that don't, and I envy them for that, because I really think that we could all change a lot more lives if we didn't have that little filter. I think that's about it. I'm reading the questions again. You know, and I think the question mentions self-image, and I think that has a lot to do with it. You know, I think that if I was a little further along in my journey and I was a little closer to that goal weight, and I saw myself as a skinny person, that maybe I would be a little more vocal. Maybe that little mental filter wouldn't be there. And maybe it would. I don't know. I'll have to find out. But, yeah, I think that's it. I think that's all I got. Kind of short and sweet this week. Anyway, make sure you guys thumbs up. Don't thumbs down. Subscribe, tell your friends, and come back and see us tomorrow for another Proof Weight Loss Surgery Works video. And come back and see me on Monday for another Proof Weight Loss Surgery Works vlog. Have a great week, guys, and take care.